your thoughts on John Madden and what he meant to the sport he loves so much?
For me, Brandon, it's the word joy. He brought that to the game of football and brought the game to so many people. He stayed involved his entire life. And moving forward, when you think of football, you're always going to think John Madden.
One time for old times. What do you say we play some football as we are underway from Oakland in the John Madden Legacy game? Here comes Devin Hester bringing it out. And he'll wind up getting a couple extra yards here for his trouble and bringing it out of the end zone as he's down at the 27. So it's the NFC stars who will get the ball first. And Charles, as we alluded to, we've got a different era of coach on each sideline. So the man coaching this NFC squad, we'll call him Young John Madden. This is a coach who was trying to establish a foothold in the NFL and on the cusp of doing it very successfully.
Yeah, you think back to that period, those early days as the coach of the Raiders, the late 60s in the AFL and then in the NFL in the early 70s. Coach was a guy who was ahead of his time. The Raiders were one of the first teams to have mini camps, one of the first to film practice because he wanted to practice coaching as much as he could. And his teams, they were successful right from the start of his head coaching tenure.
The last run got 6, now 2nd and 4. They'll go again with Sanders. And he'll get 2, maybe 3 up near the 37. So as we mentioned at the top, let's take you through the life of John Madden. And you know, it's very fitting that we're here back in the Bay Area, not just because John's so associated with Raider football, but also because this was where he spent his formative years.
Yeah, he grew up over Daly City with his buddy John Robinson, who would also become an NFL head coach. He played his high school ball at Jefferson High, eventually wound up playing tackle at the University of Oregon, and later Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. Played well enough that in 1958, he was a 21st round draft pick of the Philadelphia Eagles. That's right, the draft had 30 rounds then.
It's a big play that time for the NFC. 44 yards.
Brandon, we've both been around the game long enough that we know that in pregame, defenses are pretty amped up, aren't they? I mean, they're pounding lockers, and they can't wait to get out there. But when you hit them with some big pass plays early, it takes the starch right out of them.
First and goal, a chance for an early statement here on the road. They'll run with Sanders. And he'll get this one back to the 5-yard line, but no further than that. They'll say no gain on the play, and it'll be 2nd and goal. And that's going to be caught. Touchdown NFC. Randy Moss, a 5-yard touchdown. And the NFC takes it all the way down the field to score on their opening drive.
He was simply incredible at finding the end zone during his tenure in the NFL. Holds the NFL single-season touchdown reception record with 23 back in 2007, partner.
Well, you also reminded me that Randy Moss set the rookie record with 17 touchdown grabs all the way back in 1998.
Well, you remember that season? He thought he had so much to prove to the league. He didn't go as high in the draft as he thought he should have, and he tried to make everyone else pay.
Following the touchdown, here's Anderson to kick it away. And a short kick taken at about the 16. And they're going to start this drive in pretty good shape up past the 30. So, Charles, as mentioned, we've got another Coach Madden over here on the AFC sideline. Of course, his Raiders, members of the AFC West. So this is a conference he battled in for his entire career. And you think about the landscape of the NFL as he was getting into the back half of his tenure. It was a golden era for coaches. You had Don Shula, Tom Landry, Chuck Noll, Bud Grant. But it was John Madden who had the best winning percentage of them all, CD. 759, the best ever.
Brandon, it's hard to believe he could be so successful in a conference with all those great teams. The Steelers won 4 Super Bowls. The Dolphins won 2 and were a mainstay in the playoffs. The Colts were tough. The Broncos came on late and went to a Super Bowl themselves. But against Hall of Fame coaches, John Madden's record, 36, 16, and 2. That's pretty incredible. His Raiders were a factor each and every year.
They keep it on the ground. Allen again. And he'll rumble for about 5, up close to the 40. But Charles, you mentioned Coach was a 21st-round draft pick back in 1958. It was the Philadelphia Eagles who selected him. But unfortunately for John, knee problems, they just continued to dog him. He was hurt in his first training camp. Actually never saw the field as a player in the NFL. But it was still during his time with the Eagles, you and I were talking about this before going on air, that you could start to see the light bulb going on for what his career path might entail.
And it went on in a big way, didn't it? Because while he was rehabbing his knee, he started to spend a lot of time breaking down film with the Eagles, with quarterback Norm Van Brocklin, the future Hall of Famer and future head coach in the NFL. Remember, Van Brocklin coached with the Falcons, he coached with the Vikings. And it was there during that time. I think Coach Madden realized his love of football and love for teaching, combining all that together, and that meant being a football coach. So in 1960, began his coaching career at a small college south of San Luis Obispo called Allen Hancock, and then later at San Diego State University under another legendary coach, the guy that could throw it around pretty well, Don Coryell.
The NFC offense coming out here, and you know, Charles, Coach Madden always said that if he had one drive to win a game and he had to pick a quarterback, he would pick Kenny Stabler. But I think if you asked him to omit any of his Raiders players, there's a good chance the guy he'd select would be Brett Favre.
Brett Favre was always smiling. He's always laughing. He's always talking to someone. He remembers that it's a game, and if it's a game, you should have fun.
And Brandon, that always reminds me of a great movie line where one of the players was telling the coach, every time I say it's a game, you say it's a business. And every time I say it's a business, you say it's a game. With Coach, it was always a game.
6 yards on that last play. Here's 2nd and 4. To throw is Favre. This one caught by Kittle. And he's going to get this down to the 35-yard line. A very nice pickup of 33 yards.
You ask tight ends about their favorite routes to run, and surprisingly, this will pop up as one of their staples because they run so many routes in the middle of the field. How about this one? Starts downfield, bends it to the corner, great touch on the football, and they turn that one into a big play.
So that changes things a bit. Here's a 1st and 10 all the way down at the 35. Here's Favre to throw. And he gets it all the way down inside the 10 and mark him at the 5. But Charles, you know, it was in the early 1960s that a young John Madden made the acquaintance of the owner of the Oakland Raiders, one Al Davis, of course, and the two, they really bonded, would become one of the best owner-coach duos in NFL history. And to take it a step further, Al Davis became someone who John referred to as his best friend.
Yeah, in 1967, Brandon, Al Davis hired Coach Madden to be a linebackers coach. Remember, this was still the AFL at that point. We had not merged totally with the NFL. And Coach Madden, he paid dividends almost immediately. Helped the Raiders win the AFL title in 1968. And that meant a date for the Green Bay Packers in what was now known as Super Bowl II. But by 1969, at the age of 32, just 32, Brandon, John Madden assumed the mantle of head coach of the Oakland Raiders. And what a ride he, the Raiders, and the NFL were about to go on.
2nd and goal, and they will try again from the 2-yard line. They'll try to run with Sanders. And he will carry this one in. Touchdown, NFC. Taking it in from 2 yards out. And the NFC is in for 6. Anderson on for the extra point. And it's good to make it 14-0. So that drive spanned 5 plays. And Barry Sanders, the one to finish it off as he does so with a touchdown run. Following the touchdown, here's Anderson to kick it away. And Hall not going to bring this one out. But the AFC making their way out, and it's one of Coach's favorites, another local guy, Tom Brady, who will be at the controls The boy, Coach always admired the way number 12 could run an offense, and especially his ability to stay calm under pressure.
Tom Brady is a guy who's always looking downfield. He never looks at the rush. He hangs in the pocket, and he makes a throw. He's a cool guy, and he's a tough guy. Let me tell you, there's no one calmer in the pocket than Tom Brady.
And I know that Coach has a great appreciation for Tom Brady, who turned 45 back on August 3rd, because Coach coached a guy like him in George Blanda, who played a long time in the NFL. In this game, it features legends and active players. Tom Brady qualifies as both.
On 2nd and 9, Brady. Charles, you talked about John Madden and the Raiders going on a ride. Well, try these numbers on for size. In 10 seasons as a head coach, the Raiders won their division 7 times. They finished second the other 3 times, and he became the youngest coach to amass 100 career regular season victories and is still, to this day, the franchise leader in wins.
And when you think about it, that's where that rivalry with Kansas City really took root, as did the expression commitment to excellence. And boy, was it personified by the players who played for Coach Madden. On offense, how about quarterback Kenny Stabler, wide receiver Cliff Branch, wide receiver Fred Biletnikoff, tight end Dave Casper, to name a few. How about those great linemen he had? Center Jim Otto, guard Gene Upshaw, tackle Art Shell, all of them in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And guys on the defensive side of the ball, the man storage himself, Ted Hendricks, Willie Brown, John Matuzak, Otis Sistrunk, and Big Ben Davidson. So many great players, so many great memories.
And this time he's going backwards. So after the no gain on the last attempt, here they get him behind the line. Now the NFC going to call the first of their 3 timeouts, as the clock's going to stop with 47 seconds to go in half number 1. On is the Hall of Famer Ray Guy to punt this away on 4th down. His first punt, 45 yards. This looks good as well. Here's Hester.
You ain't doing nothing today.
It'll be a 48-yard punt, 5 there on the return. And the NFC will take over 1st and 10. Now the NFC heading back out. Hall of Famer Randy Moss, a part of this offense. And Coach Madden, boy, he always appreciated the ferociousness with which number 84 attacked the football in the air.
As Randy Moss says, just chunk it up there, dog, and I'll go get it.
And Coach, boy, did he ever go get it. Over 15,000 receiving yards, 156 touchdowns. And how about this? From his rookie year of 1998 until 2009, those were his prime seasons, right? He led the league in touchdowns 5 times, but even more so, he showed us all how to go up and get it. Great body control. No one's ever done it better, playing the ball in the air.
Now the NFC going to take a timeout, their second, as they'll stop it with a little over 30 seconds to go in the first half of play. From the 34 now, here's 1st and 10. Now Favre. He's going to rifle one deep left side. He's got a man, complete. Now the offense will burn their 3rd and final timeout, as they'll stop it with 25 seconds to go here in half number 1. So the big play means just like that, they'll operate from the red zone now on 1st down. Throwing is Favre. Touchdown! Deebo Samuel from 19 yards away. And the NFC is in for 6. So, Charles, that's 3 touchdowns on 3 drives, and it's just been an offensive barrage so far.
Great word, partner, using barrage right there. I'm going to add another word if you don't mind. How about perfection? No surprise that they're leading right now. Absolute dominance throughout this ball game, and no signs of slowing down.
Now to try to add the extra point, the lefty Anderson. And it is now 21-0. The drive there only spanning 3 plays. And it's Deebo Samuel who caps things with a touchdown reception. Following the touchdown, here's Anderson to kick it away. And not wanting to risk anything here late in the half, will just take a knee and they'll bring the football out to the 25. Well, the AFC offense heading back out. You know, Charles, Coach really loved to utilize his tight ends in the passing game. You think about Dave Casper, Hall of Famer for those great Raider teams. And I think he saw a lot of Dave Casper in an all-Madden staple, Tony Gonzalez.
Tony Gonzalez is the type of tight end I think everyone's looking for. He's a guy that can make some big plays from that tight end position. Let me tell you, you better make sure you have him accounted for on every play.
And that's exactly right, because Dave Casper, he can shred defenses down the middle of the field. And that's exactly what Tony Gonzalez did in his entire career. A 14-time Pro Bowl selection. Only Tom Brady has more. There are 6 guys in the 15,000-yard receiving club. He's the only tight end in there. Tony Gonzalez, every snap you had to know where he was because he could make plays short, medium, and long, and often put the ball in the end zone.
That throw by Brady, incomplete.
They've been playing sound fundamental defense thus far and able to keep this offense from creating a major dent on the scoreboard.
Able to force the incompletion, but still waiting for that game-changing play. You feel like it's coming, the first sack, the first turnover.
In a sense, they're playing old school defense right now. The new school defense is what you said, taking the ball away.
And with just 4 seconds left in this first half, a timeout call. The final shot before half for Brady. He's going to float this over the middle, deep. And he knocks the ball away, and it falls in. Coming up in the second half, we'll run through John's post-coaching triumphs. But for now, we present a special tribute to the man of the hour, narrated by the Raiders' own Trey Mosley.
What comes to mind when you hear the name Madden? Is it the coach who led the Raiders to their first Super Bowl victory? Perhaps it's the broadcaster who entertained millions of fans. Or maybe it's the video game known simply by his name. But no matter what comes to mind when you hear the name Madden, everyone thinks of one thing: football.
The core of it was football. It's the greatest game in the world. The left goes to the right goes to the left.
Madden is on the field. He wants to know if it's real. John Madden comes on the shoulders of his players.
In my mind, John Madden is the most important figure in the history of professional football. Show me somebody else who did it on 3 levels the way John did it. There's nobody.
Boy, Charles, yeah, that is really well done. Coach was something else, wasn't he?
I'm reminded what Al Davis said when he was inducting coach in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Brandon. He loved the game. He loved his team. He loved the Raiders. He loved this league. And you can see it with everything he does.
No doubt. But it's quite possible, though, that now he would say, hey, enough of that. Let's play some football. And the second half forthcoming from Oakland. The offense for the AFC set to go now. Well, they look up at the scoreboard facing that deficit. A 3-score game, Charles, but look, there's plenty of time to go here. The old football cliche that comes to my mind is you can't get it all back at once. They probably need something, though, out of this drive, at least 3 points.
Are you trying to say that there's no 3-score drive on that play sheet for any of those coordinators? They just don't have it, right? You're trying to get it all back. You know you can't get it back in one drive, but maybe cut into it a little bit, as you just suggested. Try and create a little bit of momentum, a little bit of a spark, and then maybe that'll carry over.
Throwing is Brady on 3rd down. Open man is Andre Reed, complete. So now, Charles, to pick up the story we've been telling, John Madden at 42, he just completed a 10-year stint as the coach of the Raiders. He wants to step away a bit from the grind of coaching, but he doesn't want to step away from the game of football. So he ends up signing on with CBS in 1979 to try his hand at broadcasting. And much like his coaching career, he was pretty much an instant success.
Partner, he really connected with the people right from the start, and people may not remember he wasn't even on the #1 team in the beginning. He worked his way up. But the same things that made him a great coach made him a great broadcaster. The ability to show the big picture, yet break it down into the details. That's what he did with his teams. That's what he did with the people. That way, he was simple to understand, yet insightful for viewers, and did with that big personality that he had, one that connected with everyone.
That's good. The completion there for 7 yards, and that'll bring up 4th down.
Well, it looks like they got what they wanted. They got the completion, but they weren't able to break any tackles or gain nearly enough yardage to pick up the 1st down. Now to be 4th and short.
And this will be out of bounds. Now it's a question of where they'll mark it. And they'll say it crosses at the 11-yard line. Ready to begin their next drive here, the NFC offense. And now you've got the clock winding down here in the 3rd quarter. Your 3 scores to the good. What's your approach on this drive?
Too early to fully commit to playing the clock game. Yet at the same time, you're also not going pell-mell like you would 2-minute offense. This is what NFL offenses call 4-minute football. Take the clock out of the game a little bit, wind it down, but at the same time, keep advancing the ball down the field.
That'll be caught. It's Kupp. And way up past the 35 before he's taken down. So for Coach Madden, Charles, by 1981, his broadcasting career is really taking off. He's elevated to the network's #1 booth that calls all the big matchups. And he gets the plum assignment of calling Super Bowl 16, 49ers and Bengals, and he's teamed up with Pat Summerall. And that pairing ultimately would go on to be one of the most influential in sports broadcasting history.
Influential not just in us listening to them. Remember, they went out and called 8 Super Bowls together. But how they put together kind of the template that all of us broadcasters follow now. Sitting down with the head coaches and the quarterbacks and the stars of each team before a ball game to get extra information. And the way that those two paired together, Pat Summerall, short, concise, to the point, and turned it over to Coach Madden to fill in all the big details.
Back now here on EA Sports. It's AFC football, but they trail here as we begin the 4th quarter. On 1st and 10, it's Sanders. And he maneuvers up the middle for 3. And it's 2nd down. As you mentioned, CD, talking about John Madden, the broadcaster, he called 8 Super Bowls with Pat Summerall, 3 more with Al Michaels later in his career. He spent nearly 3 decades in the booth all told. And not only was he beloved for his mannerisms, we know that, but he was an innovator as well.
Yeah, Brandon, you're talking about things like the telestrator, which totally became identified with him, and now it's a staple for all analysts to have in the booth. And then you think about things like turducken on Thanksgiving, when you use words like boom and pow. He helped create the All-Madden team. He was a very popular commercial pitchman. And even the Madden Cruiser was unique, and you had to be someone to get a ride on it, too.
The Hall of Famers kick is good, and that will extend their lead even further. Well, ultimately not really sure that they're going to need those 3 points, but they'll take the 3 and they pad that lead.
Yeah, this one's already wrapped up, but you and I both know if you're an offensive coordinator, you never let up on the gas unless the head coach tells you to do so. And maybe you've actually clicked him off in your headset so you can keep calling plays and trying to add to this lead.
Taken at the 15, a short kick. And a good return as he'll be stopped just shy of the 30-yard line.
The AFC takes over 1st and 10 at their own 29-yard line.
The AFC offense set to take their next drive. Well, it's been a struggle so far for this offense, Charles. It's not only that they haven't been able to put the points up, but really stringing yards together has been a real issue for them in this one.
I'm so glad you brought up the yardage, because I was thinking to myself, we've seen a lot of NFL games, and we've seen our share of lopsided contests, but in almost all of them, both offenses have put up at least 200 yards in a game, but not in this one. This has been a display of offense that, frankly, I think the two of us have watched from behind our hands, trying to spread our fingers wide enough to actually see the result.
So the AFC with the football as we welcome you back. They are in need of 6 yards here if they hope to move the chains. Now Brady. Well, the corner gets a hand on it, but he still makes the play. Now, CD, we did get a little ahead of ourselves talking about John Madden, the broadcaster in the 90s and 2000s, because there was another product during that time period that he became quite famous for, and it's something that you and I know a little bit about, and that's the video game that bears his name. Originally John Madden Football when it was first released back in the late 1980s, and now known the world over simply as Madden.
And Coach saw this originally as a way to teach the game of football. The early designs were for a 7-on-7.
And that is caught for an AFC touchdown. Tim Brown, a 5-yard touchdown. And the AFC able to cut into the lead. Brady will look to throw for it. He's got it. So they convert the 2. That keeps their slim hopes alive as we're back to a 2-score game. Well, it's still an uphill battle from here, that's for sure, but that makes it a 2-score game.
And now we see why teams practice so much on the 2-point conversion, why you have more than one play ready, because you may need multiples throughout a ball game. There's a great example right there.
So 2 scores down, time definitely not an ally, but here comes the onside kick. And this is going to be secured by the NFC, and they are going to win this football game. They knew they needed a miracle. They had to have that onside kick. They didn't get it.
Well, as we knew, even before they put the toe to the leather on that one, their chances of getting that done, slim and none. And I do believe we saw Slim just leave the door, didn't we?
We did indeed. I think we're down to none. Now the AFC going to use the first of their timeouts as they stop it here with just under 40 seconds to go in the game. So 1st and 10 now from the 30. Another run with Sanders. And he's tackled a yard short of the marker. Good gain of 9 on 1st down. Now a second timeout called for by the defense as the clock will stop with 33 seconds remaining. Another yard would probably put this thing in the books. It's 2nd and 1. They'll run with Sanders up the middle. And on this one, he'll get to the 15, right at the 15-yard line. Now the defense will burn their 3rd and final timeout. And as the two teams talk it over on their respective sidelines, we take a break.
Let's go.
Victory very much in sight now as they'll take a knee. So it's a win here for the NFC. Just an incredible afternoon of football and remembering the life of John Madden. And before we go, one final message. And for all of us at EA Sports, this one's for you, Coach.
I just say this, I thank you all very much. This has been the sweetest ride of them all.
Time to decide how you're going to make your Madden NFL 23 debut.